Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection to that which is bigger than us, to whatever you want to call it. I call it the Great Spirit. You might call it God, Source, Creator, Universe, the Big Divine, whatever it is you call it, whatever name, Yahweh. It's perfect. And we share our stories of connection to that which is bigger than us on here so we can really inspire one another to a point of connection in our own lives where we can call forth a new understanding or discovery based on someone else's story that then we can also apply to our own lives. And I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird. I absolutely love having these kind of conversations. It makes me super happy. And I love hearing people's journeys. It's very fun to have these weaving conversations like the one we'll have on the show today. And I love to help people to have their own conversation with the divine. There doesn't need to be an intermediary. It can be a one-to-one conversation. And I like encouraging people to step out of that old paradigm of like, oh, I need an interpreter. No, you don't. We just need to learn how to listen anyway. So if you're interested in that journey, reach out. We got Butterfly Circle starting up in May, and we'd love to have you join. Okay, so today on the show is Mari Mitchell, who is a certified life and relationship coach. She's an author and a radio show host and a publisher. She's the founder of Dare to Be Authentic and is also the author of Diary of a Hopeless Romantic and The Cuban Heart. Her Dare to Be Authentic Publishing is the publisher of the Dare to Be Authentic book series and many other books. And her passion is helping people connect with their authentic self to create a life of joy and fulfillment and bring their authentic talents into the world. So welcome to the show, Mari.
Thank you, Carrie. It's wonderful to be here with you today.
It's great being here. And of course, we got connected by one of my dear friends, Teresa DeGros-Bois from the Evolutionary Business Council. Love her, love her, love her.
Yes.
And appreciate getting connected to so many fabulous people from her, including you.
Me too. She's terrific. Teresa is wonderful. And I've connected with so many great people. I agree.
Yeah. So now I am really interested in finding out about Diary of a Hopeless Romantic. That's really fascinating. So I want to hear about how you came into really feel so powerful about this message of Dare to Be Authentic. Tell us like the real story behind that. How did that desire come to be?
Well, I had come to a point in my life after 17 years of marriage where I didn't realize that, but I didn't know who I was. I was a wife, I was a mother, I took care of my parents, I taught Sunday school, did the PTA. I was a stay-at-home mom, but I sold Avon, you name it, I did it. Took care of the house, took care of the kids. And I took being a mother very seriously. I knew that that was one of my missions, to raise these children. But at the same time, I felt like I didn't matter or make a difference in this world. So I tried to feel like I mattered by doing things, like all the church things, whatever. And I was constantly on the go. I felt like I was in a merry-go-round going so fast that I couldn't get off. And so we ended up separating. I was so unhappy. We ended up separating. And then I got into an even worse relationship after that, which really propelled me after I was done with that. It was a 6-year relationship, it was a long one, to take a good hard look at myself and what I was creating in my life. I just wanted to be happy. I just wanted to just feel that joy when I got up, feel that what I did mattered. And so I began to coach myself. I was a single mom at that point. I didn't have a lot of resources, so I began to coach myself, reading everything I could read, doing all the exercises they said to do, etc. And I began to find me. One of the things that I did was go back and remember what my teenage me was like, 14, 15, 16. What did I love to do? What did I aspire to? And it started bringing a spark in me. I remember that I wanted to write, but I never did. So I joined a writer's group. And I sat there for weeks and listened to all the people and their wonderful stories and thought, I could never do this. And one day on my way home, I'm driving and the first sentence to a book I haven't finished came forth. And I couldn't believe it. And so I went home and started writing, and just all started coming out. And I joined a social group and started making friends, because I didn't really have any friends except the one guy that I'd been dating. My whole world revolved around him. And so what I discovered was, when I was in relationship, even with my girlfriend sometimes, I would morph into whoever I thought that person wanted me to be, because I wanted to be liked, I wanted to be loved, I didn't want anybody to leave me. So if I was perfect and I was the perfect person that they wanted me to be, then everything would be fine. In the meantime, I completely lost myself. And so that's why authenticity is so important to me, because I had to get back to the authentic me. I didn't even know who that was. And I began to discover her. And as I began to discover her and I began to do things that I really loved, that joy started to spring right from inside of me. That's where it was all along, but I was looking for it everywhere else, especially in relationships with men, right? Or in whatever, in jobs, in how I looked. And so I found what was inside me all along. And then a couple of years later, I got my certification and became a life coach, because I wanted other people to be able to find their authentic self, to know who they really are. And that's why that's so important to me.
Oh gosh, I love that story. I can so resonate with the whole thing you just said about being a mom and being a daughter and being, a wife and trying to make everybody happy and bend over backwards and like you become what they want and this whole thing. And there's yeah, I was really caught up in doing that. And I had really powerful desires of my own, even while I was doing all of that. And when I left my former partner, I stumbled into and that was a 20-year relationship, so similar, long relationship with two kids,
Right.
and I got into warrior goddess training with Heather Ashimara, who was my one of my first teachers. And there was a teacher right before that where I started learning the quest for authenticity. So it's so funny that you're saying that, right? Like the quest
Mm.
for authenticity. We started studying, that was with my teacher, Gary Starnes. We were studying the Four Agreements, which I think they
Oh,
should give that book to everybody, Mari.
I agree. It should be high school reading or
Mandatory
middle
reading.
school reading. Yes, mandatory. I mean, why don't we read the Scarlet Letter? Let's read the Four Agreements.
Let's read the Four Agreements. I mean, this is a powerful book. It's a lot of truth. And
Oh my
and
gosh, yes.
I started that there, and then I continued in with Heather Ashimara into the Toltec path because, of course, her teacher is Don Miguel Ruiz, and so this path to be authentic is really important. It's and I love what you said about I lost who I was. I didn't even know who that was anymore. So how was I going to go get it back? Because I didn't even know what. Talk about that a little bit. Like a lot of people face that when they've
Hmm.
been, men and women. I don't think it's exclusive
Yes,
to women. But if you've been a giver or you've been a person that's sort of like shape shifted, like you talked about, to be a pleaser, to do what other people wanted, you sure do get lost.
absolutely. And the thing is, you don't know you're lost. At least I didn't know I was lost. I just knew I was unhappy. I was unhappy. I was unfulfilled. Not that I had a miserable life. I had a good life. We had a beautiful home, three healthy children, went to church. Everybody thought we were the perfect couple, but things just were not perfect in any way. And I just was trying to keep that perfect, the Christmas pictures that nobody knows, all the fighting that went on in between and all the yelling at the kids to look perfect and be perfect. Christmas Day used to be, and it's my birthday on Christmas, used to be one of the worst days because I wanted everything to be so perfect and I wanted everything to go a certain way. And I just made everybody miserable because I was just trying to be happy. I just wanted to go back to what Christmas was like when I was a child. I wanted to go back to that joy and that love. And I was unable to create it in that family unit. And so the thing for me is, and I think for most people, you don't know that you've lost yourself. You just know that you're unhappy. You just know that you wake up and you don't wake up happy. You don't wake up looking forward to your life, to what you're going to do today, and you don't know how to change it. And so, as I said, as I began to just do little things, like when I began writing, oh my gosh, it is so much fun. It gave me so much joy to write, just to write. And I'd be like, this feels really good. When I got back to reading, because I've always been an avid reading, I used to spend my summers reading on my bed while my mother said to me, are you still on that bed reading? Go outside and play. But I love to read. I got back to reading because I had, I read a lot of stuff, but I didn't read for pleasure, so I got back to reading whatever, historical novels, sci-fi, mysteries, whatever it might be. I learned how to take care of myself for the first time. I was in my 50s before I got my first mani-pedi. I learned how to take time for myself and not run myself so hard and push myself so hard and all these things that I thought were necessary to be a successful person, and have a successful life.
Yeah, I have so much to say about all that. It's true, like as women, they say that you need to take care of yourself and fill up, and put the mask on yourself. Like I heard a lot of messages around that, like put the mask on yourself first and then put it on your child and this kind of stuff. So, but it didn't fulfill me still, like the kinds of things we were doing, like the mani-pedi thing you brought up. Like I would go to the spa day, right? And I'd be like, okay, I got to the spa day. That was supposed to fill me up. And temporarily it made a difference, but it didn't really solve it. Like there was bigger, deeper stuff. And I love how you said that you wanted everything to be perfect and you wanted to recreate what you experienced in childhood and you just couldn't do it. And I had a similar thing where it's like, just could not create the happiness that my dad had created for all of us. Like I kept trying to create that and falling on my face. Like it's like not working. And but I was so tenacious because I was told that marriage is hard work. I was told,
Hmm.
so I expected it to be hard. So I gave myself to it for 20 years of trying to make it better, but I was still unfulfilled. And
Hmm.
yeah, did you understand did you have the same experience, similar?
Yes, I'm not saying that mani pedis or take care fulfill you in any way. In fact, I don't like going. Don't tell anybody. I don't like going to the salon. I don't like getting my hair done. I just feel, I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't feel any kind of fulfillment from that. I do it because it's necessary, whatever. But what I was really missing for me, Carrie, was a purpose. I needed, other than being a mother, and there's nothing wrong with that, that was a purpose. But besides that, in addition to that, I didn't feel that I had a purpose on this earth. And it took me a long time, even after coaching myself, even after beginning to do some life coaching for others, I still was not very clear and sure of what my purpose was. And now I am. And it took a long, long time to get there. I think until we know what our purpose is and we step into it, we don't have that true fulfillment feeling that you're talking about that you were lacking.
Yeah, that it's been a journey as well for me to get to my purpose and to open up the joy within me. And you're right, like if you're looking out there for it, like I did, I was looking out there. It's not out there.
Mm-mm.
It's not up there either. You know, like, a lot of people look up there like it's up there. It's in here actually. And I you have to finally get that it's in here, I think, in order to make all the other things make sense, because they're all pieces of the picture. Like they are all pieces. All the things we notice out there or up there, all of that, it has its place and it's part of the puzzle, but it's not the whole puzzle. It's like
Right.
it has to come inside and then it becomes clear, I think,
I
when it's
agree.
coming from inside.
Yeah. And it comes to me, it has to come by revelation. It's not
Yeah.
just like you could tell me about it or someone else could tell me about it. I could listen to a video or take a course about it. It has to come by revelation. You have to actually
Yes.
feel that feeling or feel that moment when you know that you were made perfect and that you have a perfect um, path to follow and something to fulfill just because it makes you so happy.
Just because it makes you so happy. That's right. Like there's a lot of joy. It's not to say that there's not days where there is resistance or I know I'm supposed to be working on something and I don't want to.
Yep.
There are days that exists. But the overall feeling, I love you say, is like an inner joy. It like bubbles up out of us. Like and even if you overcome the little bit of resistance and you get into doing the thing that you know you're supposed to be doing today, there's joy in it.
Yes.
It's not a
Yes.
drudgery.
It's not a drudgery. I love that word. It's not a drudgery. And I always felt my jobs, everything, it was a drudgery. Oh, I have to go here. I have to do that.
And
I
waiting for
have
it
to,
to be
have to,
over.
have to. literally looking at the clock on the wall or my watch, 20 minutes left. Then it seemed like 6 hours later, 10 minutes left.
Yeah, 6 hours later.
It seemed like 6 hours later, but it was 20 minutes later, right? And now I just wake up so excited to see what's going to happen today. Yeah, I have times when when I'm down, when I'm tired, when I'm depressed, whatever. All those things happen too. I hear bad news, you lose a friend, people get ill, but that joy that's inside that comes from who you are and fulfilling that, it doesn't go away. Even if bad things are happening, what people would call bad things, even if you're having a bad day, that inner joy does not go away.
Yeah, and I love that you, in order to start rekindling that inner joy, that you knew enough to go back to your childhood and start pulling forward things that you used to enjoy. Because I believe that our inner child is the source of our joy, so when we reactivate that, it's like we were in touch with it then,
Mhm.
and we were making the best of whatever situation we had and finding happiness for ourselves in the middle of all that. And then so that source is what we can tap back into and bring it forward here through taking those similar kinds of actions or doing the similar kinds of things that brought happiness before.
Yeah, and it wasn't my brilliant idea. I read it in a book, which I can't remember which, that said, go back, think of what you thought of when you were a teenager. What did you like to do? What did you aspire to do? What really lit you up? What made you happy? And I always wanted to teach, and it was like writing, teaching, which is what I do as a coach. I do teach, and reading, which I always love to read. And so just by starting those few things, it doesn't sound like much, but when you have a life where you cry yourself to sleep every night, if that's the point I was at, a little bit of joy, doing some writing or joining a social club, making some friends, going to a party. Maybe you're not feeling the best, but you had a little bit of fun coming home saying, I had a little bit of fun today. All those things add up until you finally break through. And one day, what happened to me is you wake up and you realize, geez, I'm feeling really happy today.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta say, it took me a while to feel grateful. And working on my gratitude is actually work. Like I had to work, self-mastery work, to cultivate gratitude within myself,
Mm,
to also make that shift into joy and to purpose.
wow.
There was a lot of not feeling grateful for things.
Mm, wow.
It took years to be grateful.
Interesting.
So, I think it's a muscle. Because it's gratitude, what I've learned about gratitude is that it can lead to intense joy.
Hmm.
Because once you realize that everything is for you, then you can be getting the gifts of the lessons and the things that are inside the hard nuggets and the hard moments, and that is there for you because you need to push through something that you're working on learning. And sometimes the learning on earth is a little challenging. It's not all so easy,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So talk about that, because stuckness stuckness in a bad place is where a lot of people keep themselves. They're stuck, they're in a spot they don't totally love, but they're like stuck there. Why are they stuck there? What keeps them stuck there?
Well, for everyone, it's different. Like you said, you struggled with gratitude. I didn't have that. I always felt gratitude, and the minute I decided, anytime I decide to count my blessings, or however you want to say it, it makes me feel better. And I do this every day in the morning. It's the first thing I do, is do my gratitude journal. 10 things I'm grateful for. Sometimes it's 5. But what I struggled with was having gratitude for myself, appreciating me and the gifts. The gratitude always went outwards.
So you were like looking out and grateful for this person or grateful for that person, but not feeling, directing the gratitude inside.
And there's a huge difference, because once you realize what a blessing you are to others and to yourself, then you become grateful for who you are. or thankful for who you are. And once you see yourself in that divine light, and that's what happened to me. I said I had an experience that I felt the love that the creator, universe, whatever you want to call it, has for me and for all of us. And I felt how important I really am. I'm not just a cog in the wheel. I'm part of this universe, a big part of it. Once I felt that, that was completely life-changing. There was no going back from that knowing. I can't erase that from my mind. And before I felt that, I doubted. You know,
Mm-hmm.
am I smart enough? Am I good enough? Do I know enough? Is my coaching helping anybody? And that was after I've been a coach for several years that happened. Am I whatever? Am I enough? And now that moment, I knew that I was born enough. So were you. So are everybody is born enough. But we have to be able to see that. So being grateful that we've been put here with a purpose, with all these gifts, but then appreciating our own gifts. We don't have enough of that.
Yeah, it's really important. It's important to open up your access to get the information, right? So for me, I feel like I had a coach who was like, here's this book on daily practices of gratitude. Thank you. And it really started where I had to work it, but see, I had a lot of conditioning in my brain. And so I also want to point people to that information. It's like, depending on how you were raised and your parents, see, I would vacillate between being grateful and not being grateful because I had two different parents. One was very grateful and like created opportunities around every corner, and the other was very critical and cynical and pessimistic.
Mm.
Okay, so my brain was like could operate in either mode. So my coach was trying to help me like put it full stop on gratitude because that brain really gets things juicing, but it has to be real gratitude because if it's
Yes.
talk about real, because like if it's fake gratitude, it doesn't go
Mm-hmm.
very far. If it's like spiritual saran wrap gratitude, like everything's busting up in your life and you're really actually feeling angry, but then you try to smear some gratitude on that, like a little peanut butter spread, it doesn't work.
I love what you just said it. It's so visual. I love visual. That's like that putting on that happy face. There's an old song, put on a happy face. That's exactly what that is.
It's like your
My
skin is
life,
stretched across tight.
my life is going to hell in a handbasket, literally going to hell. But what am I grateful for? I used to, that was the feeling. I don't feel that
Ah,
way anymore, but this is not right, and this is not right, and that person sucks, and
yeah, this person's making my
and
life a
so,
hell.
but thank you, God, that I have a roof over my head. I know what you mean. That's not true gratitude. That's from a place of being so upset and so angry and so fed up with things not going your way. But true gratitude is when even the smallest little thing, even the smallest little thing in the middle of whatever's going on, it doesn't have to be a bad day, it could be a good day, but a little thing happens, like you got your package 2 days early and you're like, wow, that is so awesome. Because I get that way. Wow, that is so awesome. And it is something that you have to practice, because this is the practice for me. So something bad happened. You're just touching on that. Something I didn't like happened. How do I find the silver lining, right, on the cloud? How do I find the good piece of it? Because right now I'm really not liking what's happening. It took me a long time to figure that out. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of how I look at it. Because there are many times when something happens that you don't like. First of all, it was supposed to happen that way. Like, for example, being laid off from a job that you really didn't like, that was keeping you from doing what you really were supposed to do in this world. That was me. And then getting laid off from that job with no notice, like, ta-da, we don't need you anymore. They're like, whoa. But yeah, there was a big silver lining that propelled me to because I had job, didn't, did my business, went back part-time, did my business. I would do that. And that finally I was like, okay, I'm going to work this business and see what happens. Still kept looking for a job, but still kept doing what I was led to do until I realized this is what I want to do. This is what I love to do. This is what I need to do for me to be happy. And the silver lining was, instead of being completely devastated because I lost my job, which is a devastating thing. I mean, I was on my own. No one else was going to pay the rent, just me. Take that and look at the perspective. What do I have? I don't have my job right now, but what do I have? Okay, I had some severance pay. I was able to apply for unemployment, and slowly. So it does take practice. Like you say, it is a muscle. And it's that changing your mind from looking at the dark side of everything to looking at the possibilities in everything.
I
Does
love
that
that.
make sense to you?
Yeah, because, and this all relates to authenticity, because the thing about authenticity is that you have to be able to be authentic about where you are right now in order to explore all the things that are in your brain and your conditioning, in order to move yourself to another place where you could practice self-mastery on gratitude and finding the silver lining, which then leads you to another place of authenticity within yourself. But if you never start the journey of authenticity, you never get to the layers. There's like layers of authenticity.
Yes,
There's layers
absolutely.
and layers and layers. And as you strip off, the conditioning. So I would even posit, like, when I was feeling unfulfilled, Mari, it was because I was allowing thick layers of brain mental conditioning to rule my life instead of the authentic self way down in the heart of me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I courageously dared to be authentic, bit by bit, and each step is courageous. Like going after that job you love and doing it, that's courageous because you have to pay the bills. It's
That's
very
right.
courageous to do that. But that's a big step. And as you take that step, then that's going to unfold because it's actually aligned with your authentic self to be doing that. So then it's easier than you think. Like, it's fearful because you think you have to do all this other thing to make money, and that's the way you make money. You've got a lot of ideas around it, right? But your heart's saying, no, I know I need to do this. Then it happens. It's aligned. Not to say there's not bumps, right? I'm sure there were bumps
Oh,
and you had
yeah.
to claim it and you had to raise up to it. It's like climbing a mountain. But once you climb the mountain to claim the job that you really know is your job, like, that fulfills you, it just, then at some point, the snowball starts rolling down the mountain and it gathers steam, like, whooshoo, yeah,
That's right.
and it's off to the races. And now you're like on it. You're like, all right, this is just me every day, all the time. I just wake up and this is me. And most of the time, pretty happy, right? Till the next mountain
Absolutely.
comes,
Right.
but
The next mountain comes that you have to climb. But
climb
no,
the
but
next
it's
mountain.
true. Absolutely so true. One of the things that I'm so grateful for is that I have my own business. I could do it from my own home office. There's some cold days here, really cold for me. I'm a baby. Really cold is like 40.
Yeah, it's cold. It's chilly.
And I'm like, I don't have to get dressed and go out and wear my coat to go to work because all I have to do is walk over to the other room where my desk is. I think this is absolutely awesome. And I get to talk to awesome people today that I've never met before about whatever sparks their life. And I may get to do some coaching and guide someone. And it's just like, what's not to be grateful for? But when I had to drag myself, out of bed, get dressed, do my makeup, do my hair, get to work, and then do something that was drudgery, like you say, for sometimes only 4 hours. Because the last few jobs I had, they were all part-time. But 4 hours of drudgery, 10 minutes of drudgery, who wants that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're putting your value. At some point, I realized I got far enough along my path with energy training, energy healing,
mhm.
that I started understanding how energy works and the law of attraction. And I knew, I was like, every hour I spend doing something I don't want to do is sending a mixed signal to the universe that I want to keep doing that thing. I don't want to do that thing anymore. I want my source to come from my soul alignment. That's where
Hmm.
I want to be aligned.
Right.
So it's a little dance on the bridge. There's like a bridge. I always encourage people to have a bridge. Like, don't just jump off the mountain, like have a bridge from the thing you're doing to make money into the whole new way of life that you're creating for yourself. You got to have a bridge. But like every way across that bridge is like being authentic. Being authentic means not ignoring the current situation. You can't ignore it. It's happening, but also keeping the new vision, right? Keeping the new vision and building that channel toward it with your gratitude. Like, this is where I want to be, and thank you for getting me here, job.
Right.
Thank you for getting me over here. I appreciate you. So it's always redirecting and putting the energy where you want it to go
Hmm.
to get to the new place.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And little steps, and that bridge is really wise because otherwise you take that leap and it's so easy to get discouraged. When things don't build usually in a week, it
It
takes
usually
time.
takes longer than a week. Yeah.
They don't build in a month or 6 months, sometimes in a year, but they do build as long as you're consistent. And one thing that you said that I love is that you have that vision for it.
Yeah.
You know what you're going for, you know what you want to do, and you continue no matter what's going on around you. Like you say, you have to face it. This is reality, but you still know what your purpose is and what you want to do. And you keep going towards it and taking your little steps, whatever steps you're inspired to do.
Yeah. And I think this ties into relationships too, right? Being authentic
Oh, for sure.
is being really present with the actual truth of, because I don't know about you, but I had rose colored glasses I wore around a lot, when I was younger, up until recently. So the rose colored glasses, I know a lot of women that have rose colored glasses. And boy, they can really spot the potential in a partner,
Hmm.
but they're not so good oftentimes at taking off the glasses and, okay, who is he right now? Okay, let's see if I like this, kind of like keep the glasses on and like deluding yourself thinking that this is like all great, and it's really not right now all that
Hmm.
great. It
Hmm.
could be great, but there's like a number of choices that would have to be made in order for that to happen down the line, right? For there to be an alignment. So talk about like hopeless romantic versus being authentic, and
Hmm.
still being a dreamer. You're still envisioning things for yourself, but talk about that.
I love it because that's in my book, Diary of a Hopeless Romantic. And that's exactly what it's about. It's about a woman who is looking for love, and she's doing most of it on the internet, through dating sites, and she's meeting all these guys, and all the different men teach her a lesson because she's doing exactly that. She's looking at the guy and she's thinking, well, he could be this, he could be that, he could, I don't like this, that, and the other about him, which are the red flags, right? So she would just step on the red flags, go full force. Most of them she only met once, thank goodness, but go into dating with someone that there's these red flags about, because those rose colored glasses. We as women are the wonderful little project coordinators. If you read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, we want to take a man and make him perfect for us. Wrong. We're to be who we are, attract a man who is already perfect for us. Not
Yes, that works out
perfect,
better.
perfect for us, not perfect, not perfect. There's never any perfection, ever. Perfect for us. Somebody that we are in alignment, like you just talked about with work. Same thing with relationships. If you are in alignment with someone, if you're in a relationship where you're in alignment with someone, it's fun, it's easy, it's wonderful. It's frustrating too, and it's maddening, and things aren't always rainbows and butterflies at all. But 90% of the time, maybe even more, things are going really well. My other relationships before the one I have now, it was the opposite. 5% of the time, everything was wonderful. 95% of the time, everything was just a disaster. But I was always trying to get back to that 5% of the time, you know?
Yes. This is really pertinent, actually. Gosh, that just sunk in for me. Because I every time I do interviews, especially if I'm writing a book, it's all intertwined. So like the conversation is going to bring me to another message and needs to go in the book. This is awesome. So I just want to say thank you for bringing me to this piece, because when we're children, I don't know, we're healing this whole paradigm of the divine feminine,
Mm-hmm.
being very disempowered and dishonored and disrespected and all the, the bad stuff. Like we've had thousands of years of this now. So we're coming out of it. We're done with that. And we still have to heal all of it, right? And the healing is in becoming aware of the patterns. And there is a pattern, if you had a mother that maybe didn't receive a whole lot of love as a child or fulfillment or attention,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't grow up to have that for herself, probably it was hard for her to give you a lot of love, because you can't give what you don't have. Like we all try, but it's almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this way of feeling like not seen or not heard or not wanted, or like, and then there's like the 5 seconds your mom was able to be super loving with you. And then we all just want that bit of glory.
Yeah.
Like, so it all comes back to our parenting. It all comes back to when we were a child, like what was happening in our brains around our mom and our dad. And our mom is really like the primary caregiver just by biology. We just, our human brains, this is how we are.
Mm-hmm.
She's our creator. Like we came out of her womb. So, you know, that's who birthed us. We want that source, we want that connection. And I feel like we spend our lives letting go of that and embracing a truer thing for ourselves, like letting go of wanting that and moving into more and more greater self-love and self-mastery. But this is a piece because we look for a partner.
Yes.
We look for a partner, and so we're repeating the pattern.
Absolutely. We're looking to be accepted. We're looking to be loved. We're looking to be appreciated, all those things. Excuse me. But we don't appreciate, love, or accept ourselves.
Yes.
That's where I was at.
And we're just trying to get a little nugget from somebody else. And like, if we get one, we want to we keep pushing the lever.
Yep.
Like trying to get more out, like the rat,
Like the rat.
It's going to come out eventually, right? At some point, law of order, I'm going to get my nugget.
And you know what the most ridiculous thing about it all is? We keep attracting the people who don't give us what we want.
Yeah.
Because we have to give it to ourselves first. And
Have
that's
to
what
learn how
happened
to
to
do
me.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We keep attracting the men who are too busy, who are emotionally unavailable, who don't really want to be in a relationship, or who don't pay attention to you, who ignore you, who are, and then getting worse, who mistreat you, who disrespect you, and it can just get worse and worse. And it all comes down to, do we love ourselves? Do we appreciate ourselves? Do we realize what a treasure we are? And then do we treat a person that we meet with all that love and respect and honor? And so it comes back to basics. We have to love ourselves. We have to know who we are. Not know who we are, but know how wonderful we are, how fantastic we are. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got to celebrate ourselves. And we might not have gotten a lot of celebration growing up either from our moms. So, like I said, it's hard to celebrate others if you don't feel celebrated yourself. It's sort of like empty celebration.
Yes, absolutely.
It's empty. So we have to feel it for ourselves. We get that opportunity now, which is really beautiful. We get the awareness of the patterns, we get to see it, and we get to heal it from the inside out now,
That's
which is
correct.
a gift. It's hard, but it's a gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard. It took me years. And sometimes I thought I would never get to a place, when I was so unhappy and crying myself to sleep every night. I truly didn't believe I could ever be this happy. I just wanted to be happier,
Yeah, at least not cry.
Yeah, I was going to be happier, please. But if you do the work, and it is work, it's not a magic wand that anybody puts over you. It's work, but it's well worth it, don't you think?
It is work. And, I do wave a magic wand, but only briefly. You know, I actually had somebody join my classes and she confessed to me a month in. She's like, well, I thought you were going to wave your magic wand and it was all going to be better. And I was like, oh, sweetie, I'm really sorry I gave you that idea because that's not how it works. I do have a magic wand, but, I can lessen the suffering. It's kind of like, the angel comes down and lifts you out of your pit of despair and puts you back on the earth. You still have to do the work. That's it. You just you got a helping hand. It's just a helping hand. Like, oh, okay, let's do this together. You don't have to do it alone. And
Exactly.
it makes it easier to do it that way.
Absolutely. It
And it's still
does.
hard
It's
sometimes.
hard. I won't say it won't be
Some
hard,
of the
but it
stuff
does
seems,
get easier. It does get easier. I think that
yeah.
as we become more aware of who we are, as we step more into our authentic selves, it just becomes easier. Not that you never hit a bump, not that everything's perfect, but it does become a lot easier. You get to a point, I'm older, you get to a point where you don't care what people think of you. I just don't care. Not that I don't care about people, but I don't care about their opinion of me.
Yeah.
That used to be everything to me. What did people think of me? Did people like me? That's what led to my, you know, uh, people pleasing. Oh my gosh, such people pleasing. That
Yeah.
made
And
me
I think
miserable.
that women do a lot of that because we're conditioned to do a lot of that.
We
People
are.
pleasing. And there's a lot of cultural expectations about women and mothers and the roles that they're supposed to play for other people.
Hmm.
And we've been in a transition period where, women have, like my mom's generation broke out of that a little bit, but still wasn't out, because the rules were still there, but they were just breaking them,
Hmm.
and not consciously either, right? So there's a lot we have to go. I think it's going to take probably a couple more generations to really get going into the new space, but I feel like we're doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. And so I just encourage people, like, if you're feeling any of the ways that Mari's been describing on the podcast or that I've been describing, like, consider that, whatever you think your current level of happiness is right now, that's a glass ceiling that's been placed on you, right? From conditioning, from your personal experience and from conditioning up until now, but that you could tap into it and experience someone else's joy and then realize, oh, that experience could be mine, because it's not a do you own that experience, Mari, or does it flow through you?
It flows through me.
So it flows through me too. So Mari's joy might have just flown through her and then flown through me and then it will come on over to you. So all you got to do is make yourself receptive to it, which is the work we're talking about, right?
Yes, I love it. That's
Yeah, because
beautiful.
the joy belongs to everybody. You just got to be open to receive it.
That's so true. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that way we're all equal.
That explains a lot. I get a lot of people telling me, I feel so much better after talking to you. Even people that I'm talking to about having on my radio show, not people that I'm coaching, they're like, I feel so much better after talking to you. They'll write to me. I'm like, okay, but that's why.
Yeah, it's because you made yourself open as a vessel of joy, and joy flows through readily. And you don't, all we have to do is release our blocks to it.
Hmm.
It's the same with love. We just release our blocks to love, love flows through. So the whole game is to release the blocks and the conditioning and the
Yes.
crust. I call it crust around the heart, like that thick crust we all have around it. It's like, all this stuff that we, protected ourselves
Hmm. Hmm.
from what? From love,
I know, from joy.
from
That's
joy.
so funny because when you were saying our blocks, one of the blocks I had to joy is I was kind of brought up that it wasn't so good to have so much fun. Isn't
Yes,
there something you
joy
need to
and
be doing?
playfulness.
Yeah. You know, did you finish your homework? Yes. Did you do this? Yes. Is everything done? Yes. Well, okay. It's
Well, I
like,
guess you can have fun, but
I
don't have
guess
so
you
much
can go have fun.
fun having fun that you annoy me, because I'm not having fun. Like, that pattern's
Exactly.
totally in my book, Mari. It's so funny you brought that up. That's another one of those crazy cultural things, like, oh, we're not supposed to be playful and joyful as children.
Well, we're supposed to be it as adults too, although that they've really frowned about that. But yeah, we have to. We're supposed to be
Too
playful
much
and joyful.
adulting.
Period. And but the rules against it. I used to live in a condo where we had a majority of older people, and I would take the girls that were young down to the pool. the looks on these faces. And I used to call it they have a no fun zone.
No
The
fun.
pool is a no fun zone. No, you can't use floaties. No, you can't throw a ball around. No, you can't giggle. That is just you can't play music. This is a no fun zone.
Wow. See, that highlights exactly what I was talking about. And the older generations are really like tight.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's like, we're not having any of that nonsense of fun up in here.
That's right.
And see, but you and I are breaking the paradigm, because now our generation is like, nope, we're having lots of fun. As a matter of fact, we're even going to have fun at work.
What? Oh my gosh. And you know what's even better than that, Carrie? The next generation, because I have kids who are grown now, are completely different. And they're finally allowing themselves, my youngest daughter is 27. And she says to me the other day, Mom, I just sat down and did nothing. She has two little girls. And I'm like, good for you. I never dared do that when I was 20 something with two kids. And she goes, yeah, I took a rest. I even took a nap. I'm like, wow. So they're learning it way ahead. And so, like you say, and then the next generation will learn even more and more and more. So this stuff is spreading.
Yeah, it's spreading. And we learn, when we can show up authentically with other people, especially as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
when we show up authentically, we teach our kids also that the source of love is inside of them. So we don't recreate those crazy paradigms where, like, codependent structures where, oh, you have to please me to get love. You have to
Mm-hmm.
please me to get validated. No, you don't. We teach our kids, no, that's inside of you.
Right.
You get that
Exactly.
from inside of you. I'm just here to shepherd you along your way until you're old enough to get out there in the world.
Exactly. What a difference, huh?
So different. Like, all that heavy drama gone, all those
Yeah.
expectations.
Yep.
Then if you give from a place of real, genuine, unconditional love.
Mm-hmm. And
And
it's
that if
so
you don't
different.
give, then you don't want to give. That's okay. You don't have to.
That's right. You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. Well, we had a really good conversation around authenticity today. I feel like we explored a lot of the different aspects of being authentic and what it means to be authentic without dragging yourself down, to be authentic and be true with what is happening, but then also transform, bring yourself to a new place,
That's
and
right.
through the
Yeah.
levels of authenticity.
Yeah, we did. It was wonderful. I loved it. I loved our conversation. We went everywhere.
We did, but we came around back to the beginning. See,
Yep.
we touched on the romantic, because see, I wanted to talk about the hopeless romantic. We talked about that. I wanted to talk about the daring to be authentic and what that means, and then helping people create a life of joy. And we covered all that. So hope you guys are happy out there, because I think Mari and I did a pretty good job. I think you should give us a good review out there on Soul Nectar Show.
I second that motion.
Yeah, go give us a good 5-star review right now, please. We appreciate you. Yeah, more people find this one out and share it out. That way we get more people to feel love and joy and all the things you want to tell them that you don't know how to say, but it would just let us say it. Here we go. And I just say, hey, go watch this. It's good.
Awesome. Very nice.
Awesome. Well, go check out Mari's podcast, Dare to Be Authentic, and check out her books. And I'll put all the notes in the show notes on how you find all that. Is there anything else that you want to offer to the audience, Mari, as a way to get started with you, or any tips or information you want to share with people?
Well, if they want to find me, lifecoachmari.com, lifecoachmari.com. Just go there. You can contact me. You can see all my stuff. But the one thing I want to say is follow your own gut feeling. People don't talk about that too much. You have an inner being that guides you. A lot of people call it that gut feeling. Cops say, I have a gut feeling. That feeling leads you places. And a lot of times you don't listen to that because everybody else is telling you to go a different way. But try to listen to that feeling that you have and begin to follow it. And that would be a perfect first step.
Awesome. Really good advice. Really awesome advice. And I just encourage everybody to check out more of Mari's stuff and reach out if you feel inspired, and check out her podcast and give us a 5-star review for this one. And And we're going to give you kisses now. Mari, you want to help me give everybody kisses? I like to give kisses on the way out to the show.
Sure.
All right, here they come, everybody.
Oh,
We love you guys.
love you. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next time on Soul Nectar Show, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.